Hi everyone, welcome to All Four Queens 555 on this Friday morning. Now I've got to use a camera to a phone that I went to purchase that was nicely waiting for me when I got there, and it seems that obviously it has some sort of software in it as well. So please bear with me if it goes dark and light, because someone's obviously in it, and we already know that there's some software in there that's obviously AIE, and it just makes me sound different or whatever, and it recognises my facial features, so please bear with because I haven't really got another one yet. But today's session, on top of everything else, I wanted to just talk about something that, I have previously mentioned it, but I just want to just explore it in a little bit more detail. So before I start, welcome to the channel. It's all about spiritual warfare, healing and awakening. And once you awaken spiritually, you find that you trigger spiritual warfare, and that really is because there's a lot of things that subconsciously you've known, and then when you awaken, it hits you in the eye, and you see everything for what it actually is, and that's usually all the gut feeling things that you've had about certain people, places and things that you've known subconsciously in your soul but just never had any clarification. And if you're an empath, you tend to be around a lot of people that have the spirit of narcissism, and they'll just gaslight you and make your reality seem like it's not real, which in my case it wasn't, because I was very much in the Truman Show. So, and this is probably explains why. So, I have talked about it in the previous one very early on. I think it was about a year ago, but I want to just explore the details of it. So I'm talking about the power of attorney and what actually is a power of attorney. Now I've got a law degree, and I'm not giving anyone legal advice. I suggest that if you do need to understand it, that you get legal counsel in your respective area. This is just an overview of what it actually is, and a bit of guidance. And I do strongly suggest that people make sure they're familiar with the laws in their own countries, purely when you do hit into spiritual warfare. Whilst it's very spiritual and we rely on spiritual law, there's still laws, and people still are accountable for the physical laws as well, and it's just worth knowing and being aware of what they are. So the power of attorney, a legal document that lets you, the denor, I can't pronounce that, very legal, appointed trustee individual, your trusted individual, your attorney, to make decisions or manage your affairs on your behalf. This can apply to your finances, property or medical and care needs, either temporary or if you lose the mental capacity to do for yourself. Now let me just interject there. I've got somebody that's pulling on me so tight, so if I sound like I'm stumbling, please forgive me, because I do have somebody that's trying to stop me from speaking. And if you look around the spiritual collective, you'll see that there's a lot that suffer with that. But the other thing that I just wanted to refer to was people can make decisions on your behalf, right? So then it says the key types of the power of attorney. Lasting power of attorney is an LPA. Enduring power of attorney used for long-term planning, taking effect if or when you lose mental capacity. In the UK, these are divided into two categories. Property and finance affairs allows attorney to pay bills, manage bank accounts or sell property. Health and welfare lets attorneys make divisions about your daily routine, medical care and living arrangements. Ordinary power of attorney, a temporary agreement used for short-term needs such as managing your bills while you are out of the country or hospitalisation, provided you still have full mental capacity. Important details: Mental Capacity Act. An LPA must be set up while you still have full mental capacity. Regulations in the UK documents like LPA must be formally registered to be legally valid for the UK, and for England and Wales registered through the Office of the Public Guardian. Limitations: and then you got to bear with me because my writing's really small here. A POA is strictly valid only during your lifetime. It ends upon your death, at which point your will takes over regarding your estate. Now, I've read that. So if you look at my channel, you can see all the things that I've gone through from a bullying and abuse perspective, and you've got to ask yourself the question, why? Also, you can see from my channel there was an excessive amount of requirements by the police to constantly try and run around with a mental health diagnosis, knocking on my door at silly o'clock in the morning, coming to a hotel at silly o'clock in the morning and asking about someone who they had a call about not being well. So all these things, and then taking my car away, coming from my home, running around, basically creating a scenario to try and create someone to be abused, basically. Now, you've got to ask yourself the question, why would anyone do that? Is it because there's already a power of attorney in existence, and because I was locked away, blocked, isolated, out in the cold of my own life, has somebody put a power of attorney on me, i.e. the pastor and the marriage and the hidden court case? So I asked the question, has someone put a power of attorney on me, and hence all this mental health scenario that they've tried to go on about? When I was working in law, I was isolated and limited to who I could be around, and we know about the push-pull and paying people to come into my life and go out of my life, so it was very much like the Truman Show, and they were all handlers in the end. None of them were real people, they were all handlers, paid to come in and paid to go out. So if there is a power of attorney, the question is it under my real name or is it under another name? I don't know. I have got some stuff and some calls to make, and I made one this morning about it. But if there is, and did they use the mental capacity as an issue? Because obviously we know people running around, even police have been trying to diagnose, even though that's not their job, in terms of trying to get this mental thing aligned in. Now, if they have done that, and say they do have an LPA one, which is a lasting power of attorney, and they've used things like mental health, when quite clearly I don't have mental health. I don't know who went in my place, but we do know that there's been a strategy, a global strategy of corruption. So if somebody's used my name and put a power of attorney over my estate, my question, if all this was to try and take me out with the poisoning of the water, it says here, a POA is strictly valid during your lifetime. It ends upon your death, at which point your will takes over your estate. So who's written my will? So there's another part to it, isn't it? So if there is a power of attorney in place, I need to find out what that is. But the second part to that is, if there's a will in place, I need to find out what that is, because I haven't written a will. Not in relation to this, because if you think about it, I don't know about this, do I? So who's written my will? Interesting, isn't it? So I want people to be really clear on this spiritual journey, because the things that you find out that people have been doing and hiding, that they think you don't know, but deep down you do, but you just don't have any proof for it. Yeah, power of attorney. Now, I did do a recording about a conservativeship as well, but I actually do think it's more a power of attorney, and I actually do think it's either a guardian or an ex who probably married me but didn't actually marry me in the physical, just a paper trail. But I say ex, and I don't mean that as an ex, as handler. Somebody that was paid to be in my life. So interesting, isn't it? So yeah, always be mindful about everything, because you never assume anything, and always be aware of everything. And power of discernment is so important when it comes to this sort of stuff. So now I'm on the trail to find out what it is. Now I have phoned up the Guardian, and I've got to fill out a form to find out if there is one. But the question is it in my name? So when I went to go and get a solicitor in the early days, because they were already reading my mind and my thoughts, and they knew where I was going and what I was doing, by the time I got there, they told me that they only worked for the criminals. So they were shutting things down, so that it was making it really difficult for me to get the information anyway. And obviously someone's in this phone now, because this phone was already boxed up waiting for me to go get it when I got it. So you got to ask yourself, why do they need to do all this? What is it that they need to do all this and create this like reality that isn't really a reality, all because there probably is a power of attorney and probably people have been eating off my plate for a very long time, and I haven't seen a penny of it. Now the other question to that is, it says here, the property and finance affairs allows an attorney to pay bills, manage bank accounts or sell property. Not one person has paid my bills. And if they're managing my bank account, then no one's told me. But I will say that somebody did draw money out of a cash machine that in a location I wasn't there. So they must have had a card to my account. And the question is why? And then if somebody does have an issue, it says the healthcare and welfare lets attorneys make decisions about your daily routine, medical care and living arrangements. No one's made any arrangements back for mine. I've not seen a penny of any of my money. Any of the ancestors' fruits of their labour, I've not seen a penny. And you've got to ask the question why. Especially when people were running around saying all sorts of things which weren't true. And now you can understand why my poster was stolen. So yeah, check it out. Make sure that you check out stuff yourself and make sure that you know everything that is about yourself. Now I'm on the trail now. Now I have luckily been able to book somewhere else because I think it's time to move out, because obviously your comfort zone, but obviously the energy, I need to shift the energy a little bit because it's very dense in here because the amount of stuff they've been projecting. But yeah, check it out. So yeah, the saga of my life, eh? Anyway, I'm going to love yous and leave yous. Keeping it for the diary. I don't really know when my channel is at the minute, but I do believe that God will release it wherever it needs to be released. So sending you much love and light, and take it easy. See you on the next one. Bye.